Can't blame white folks no more. We gotta let that go, kid. Them people, that wasn't even these people. That was some people before them. So at the end of the day, everybody showed us they can do it from scratch. So we can't be worried, waiting on nobody to give us nothing. Everybody just gotta do it. No matter where you come from. You gotta do it from scratch. I ain't had shit and look at me now. So if I could have did it, you could have did it now. We gotta stop making excuses. Stop waiting on motherfuckers. We gotta take advantage of this shit. We gotta be happy on purpose, doing shit that make us happy. Them people that.
All right. So as you guys heard, he pretty much was saying that, the people that are alive today didn't even have nothing to do with slavery. And for that reason, we should stop blaming white people or slavery for what's been going on for us. Um, he also talked about how, if he could do it, everybody could do it. So pretty much he's saying that we're still using this as an excuse. How I feel about it, keep it 100. I think Slim Thug is correct, man. Listen, we know there's systemic racism within the system. We know that healthcare system's against us. We know law enforcement's against us. We know that we have a harder time getting loans and all these other different things. We know that we're perceived a certain way, right, as black people. But we've been perceived that way for years at this point, y'all. And at what point do we stop trying to change others and change ourselves as black people? Black people always want to focus on what other people are doing, how they're treating us, what they're getting, how they're moving through life instead of worrying about ourselves. You could take it as any relationship. You cannot change a person, no matter how hard you try. You could talk to your blue in the face. You can give them every example of correlation, all these different connections. And the only thing that's going to make them understand and want to do better and want to change is themselves. So when we're talking about white America and we're talking about slavery and we're going back in the past and slavery has been the foundation for Black Americans, and this has set a precedent of how we act and how we treat people and how we maneuver through the world. But not only that, but it's also set a precedent for how people act towards us and the things that maybe we receive. But at this point in time, we got to cut the shit. We can't keep blaming something that happened 400 years ago on today's time. We want to make all these excuses. We want to sit up here and again, I'm not negating the fact that black people are being put through shit. I'm not negating the fact that there's systemic issues and stacked against us. But what I'm saying is that we have too many examples out here in the real world of black people getting to it to continuously blaming slavery at this point in time. We have too many successful black people, entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, construction workers, nurses, all different police officers, firefighters. We have representation in all fields, maybe not as much as we would like, but we have enough for kids to look at and say, okay, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Or adults to look at and say, okay, I could go follow that path. And so, yes, did slavery happen? Of course it happened. We can't take it back now. All we can do is focus on fixing ourselves. In my opinion, we got to stop talking about the shit. We got to come to a point where we're so focused on success for ourselves and for our culture that we're not even worried about how these other people treat us. Because if we can get more knowledge, if we can become more of a force with economics and education and in all these other different things in these fields in the world, they're not going to have no choice but to respect us. You might not like us, but you damn sure going to respect us. And see, that's the problem. We don't have the respect as a culture right now at this point in time. We just don't got it. And it's partly because we keep blaming the past. Y'all want to blame immigrants for taking your jobs, right? At the warehouse and on the forklift and truck driving. Y'all want to blame immigrants for that. But you don't want to blame black people for setting a bad example at these workplaces. You don't want to blame the nigga that come to work late, that comes to work smelling like weed, that has an attitude problem, that is trying to get at the bitch that works at the front desk, that doesn't want to follow rules. He don't want to cover up his tattoos. He doesn't want to do certain things to get by. When they ask if you want to pick up an extra hour or extra 2 hours, you always say no. You always the last there and the first to leave. But somehow you guys want people to respect us. Somehow you want to be moving up in the world. But you don't want to put in the work. You don't want to network. You don't want to learn. You don't want to grow. But you want things handed to you. And this is a problem that we do have in our culture. We have to keep it 100 with ourselves. At this point in time, we should not be still blaming slavery. Most of us didn't even go through it. So to continuously blame something that we did not go through is ridiculous. And yes, it has shaped the way certain things are viewed and certain things that we can do. But me, myself, and other black men that I've surrounded myself with, I don't see them firsthand having any issues with slavery at this point. I'm around successful black men, successful black women. I see them on TV and in real life. So this notion that slavery is still holding us back is blasphemous at this point. Now, there's certain hurdles and loopholes that have been created because of it, but it's not something that has just came out the blue. It's not something that has not existed. Your daddy, your daddy's daddy, and your daddy's daddy's daddy dealt with it already. So at what point do we say, okay, if my father's father dealt with it, at what point do we as black men and women flip a switch? At what point do we say, okay, this is what we need to do better now by the third generation? When do we do that? When do we do that? We will sit up here and complain about the same rules and regulations and the same hurdles and obstacles that have been going on for 3 generations. So we did all that complaining from generations 1 to 3. But within that 1 to 3 generations, we never did anything to get ourselves out of the rut that we put ourselves in or that we were put in. Not once. So again, we're in the middle of the ocean on a buoy and we just waiting for somebody to come when land is right there that we can swim to. Because that's how we think a lot of times, bro. We're so used to talking the talk, but not walking the walk and being praised for it, that now that y'all are starting to really see what's going on in the world, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard fucking pill to swallow. We got to do better. We spent all this time complaining. We spent all this time pointing the finger at racism. We spent all this time pointing the finger at slavery, which again, those things have affected us. But to still be doing it in generation 3 and 4 and 5, but to not, on this other hand, have came up with a solution is nuts. We're just complaining at this point to complain. That is what we're doing. There's a whole list of circumstances that we understand, that keep us oppressed to a certain degree. But that should not stop no black person from going out there and getting it. Your ancestors, what happened to your ancestors scaring you away from going and get that 9 to 5 or going to get that $100,000 a year job is crazy. But see, a lot of us want to use slavery and we want to use racism as a crutch. I'm going to keep reiterating this. It's there. Systemic racism exists. Those things do exist. But that doesn't mean you stop moving forward and trying to kick these doors down. A lot of us use it as a crutch because in reality, a lot of us don't want to put in the work. A lot of us don't want to be in uncomfortable situations. A lot of us don't want to do the work that it takes to get into some of these rooms. We want it handed to us. We want special treatment because of what our ancestors went through. You're not your ancestors. You are not your ancestors. Your ancestors are the people that got us to the point we're at. And now we're at a point where we're stagnant. We have plateaued because we have King's disease, believe it or not. We sit here and we talk about slavery and we talk about how things have affected us negatively. But we talking about that stuff and we're up in arms about that stuff in our cushy apartment, driving our $1,000 car payment car, going on trips. So nobody's really hungry enough or really upset enough to actually go and change the trajectory of our culture. Nobody is. They just want to continue to complain about it. That's all niggas want to do. That's all niggas want to do. Niggas will rather point fingers at everybody. And let me tell you something. This isn't just a black problem. It's an American problem. We talking about the H-1B visas. Same shit. White people pointing the finger. Black people pointing the finger. Asians pointing. Everybody points the finger at everything but themselves. Niggas point the finger at Vivek. Oh, Vivek doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, he does. Because let's keep it 100. What is American culture predicated on? Consumerism, being lazy, attendance. Oh, you get an award for perfect attendance just for showing up. Soft ass parenting, stupid ass protest, no family structure. Men and women can't get along. Men acting like bitches, bitches acting like niggas. This is not just in black culture. This is in races in general across the board in America. So when you got these people on the outside looking in that have a good family structure, that understand hard work, that have good character and ethics and morals because they were grown or raised in an environment where those things were important and futile for survival. So they're looking at America like a gold mine. So when they come over here, they willing to roll their sleeves up and get to work. All them jobs that we don't want, that niggas don't want, that they think they too good for, yeah, they gonna come and take it. And in 2 to 3 years, after they done doing that and they get that experience, they gonna be on to the next job, or they gonna start their own business. They gonna pass some business card to some homies or to some family. They gonna come work for them. While we sit here and we point at them. Oh, look at the Mexicans. Oh, look at the Indians. They passing us up, and it's white people's fault. At one point, we're gonna have to sit up here and say it's our fault. We spent all this time pointing the finger at everybody else, but again, we're still doing the same stupid shit. We still got the same stupid habits. We still want to be seen the same way. We don't want to change, but we want people to look at us differently. It don't work like that. Slim Thug is 100% correct. He's 100% correct. We have to stop living in the past. We'll never have a great future if we continue to live in the past, ever. Energy is a big part of why the black culture cannot get ahead. We're so stuck in negative energy. Look at us. All we can think about is the negatives. Negative music sales, negative book sale, negative movie sale. Everything that sells in black culture is negative. Shit that's positive gets laughed at. This shit is subconscious programming. And while white America has done it to us, we've done it to ourselves. Because we see ourselves in that negative imagery. And then we go and we reinforce it and reinforce it and reinforce it. Until now we're at a point where niggas don't want to hear the slavery shit. White people don't want to hear it. You think some dude, if you live in the burbs and you walk outside your house and Timmy lives right next to you, you think Timmy want to hear about slavery when you living in the same house as him, driving the same cars as him, going to the same schools as him? Y'all think Timmy want to hear that shit? Y'all think these other races care? How could people care about our struggle and care about slavery when we're still acting like ignorant ass niggas today in 2025? Again, these things exist. They're here to oppress us to a certain degree. But nothing comes easy. We got to continue to fight. Unfortunately, that is the path that we have in America as blacks. You're going to get a door shut in your face before you get to the next one. That's just life in general. You don't got to connect everything to slavery, and that's our problem. Hold on, what this person said. That's the problem. We have to start taking accountability for actions. We can't say we're in a bad position, but then turn around and keep doing what we're doing that got us in a bad position in the first place. Black people want more loans and more access to money, but can't have good credit. Everything they get, they default on. How you expect to get a better house? How you expect to get a better car? Black people want better jobs, but when they go into work, they act a fool and they act the ass. And then we go outside and we talk about slavery and what it did to us and how it oppressed us. And that's where we're stuck. We're stuck in this negative cycle and circle that ultimately is where we are. And that's why we can't get ahead. So Slim Thug is right. You got to do for self. You have to wake up and do for self. Systemic racism exists. That ain't never stopped me from getting no chip ever. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't stop nobody. It should not stop anybody. But Americans have American privilege. And this is what I'm saying. We would rather point the finger at everybody else in the past and everything instead of focusing on the present and planning for the future. Black Americans will continue to fail until we stop focusing on the past and start focusing on the present and planning for the future. If we keep harping on the same negative energy and being in the same negative cycle, we're never going to get ahead. If we keep over consuming, if we keep laughing at the overachievers for being a certain way or the squares for being a certain way, we're never going to get ahead. Ever. Just not going to happen. And that's America in general. Niggas love instant gratification and they don't want to do no work. That's damn near every race in America at this point. So why are we still blaming slavery at this point? If I could go and do everything you could do, I can't be kicked out of no buildings. I can't not get a job. It's illegal to discriminate. I can go get a loan, right? I can go do all of these things, the same shit that white Americans can do. I'm sorry. Same thing Mexican Americans can do. Same thing Asian Americans can do. Same thing African Americans can do. We all have the ability and the opportunity to do the same thing. Now it's up to us as a culture if we're going to do it or not. But niggas don't want to admit that us as black people a lot of times are just lazy, bro. And we use certain things as a crutch to cover up the fact that we are lazy. And that's a fact. Stereotypes, while to a certain degree they're stereotypes, they're true. There's some truth to it. When are we going to get over what happened and move on? I'm not saying to forget. I'm not even saying to forgive. But I'm just saying to move on to something else at this point. It's 2025. We still talking about slavery as if it's affecting me right now. And I'm going to keep it 100. It's not affecting me right now. There's microaggressions. Yes. There's systemic oppressions. Yes. But again, that's not going to stop me. When do we stop letting it stop us? When do we stop using slavery as a crutch? As a cloak for us not taking accountability for what we're supposed to do in this world? Tell me. You even look at a lot of our black men in jail. Niggas got a whole list of excuses of why they went into jail besides their own self. No, you went to jail because you was stupid. You was fucking off. You can't blame nobody else for that. Then niggas want to talk about mass incarceration, all these different things. Again, we go to the pitfalls that they set up for us. But if your dad and your daddy's dad went to jail and you the third, now you the new nigga that's coming up in the family, at what point do you take accountability and learn from their lessons? The wisest man learns from everybody else's mistakes. Y'all niggas want to go through it to then be like, okay, I don't gotta go through shit. I didn't have to go through shit to say, okay, I'm not supposed to be doing that. I just looked at the outcome of niggas and like, all right, I'm cool. But even in that, we don't take accountability for anything. Niggas going to jail, niggas gangbanging. That's stupid shit. Let's keep it 100. You're not cool for that. Niggas who gangbang and who are old and still, it's like a 35-year-old talking about his high school football days still wearing his Letterman. The fuck is you doing? But don't got nothing to show for it. Don't got a pot to piss in. But you twisting your fingers though. It's stupid shit. But we're gonna go blame slavery instead of blaming that. You're gonna blame mass incarceration instead of blaming you for putting yourself in a bird's eye view, in a line of sight view. You niggas get on the block, you do stupid shit, you break the law, and then when you get arrested, well, I didn't have no other outlet. I was living in a impoverished neighborhood. Everybody else was banging, so it just came natural. So you're a follower. My point. Niggas follow. But they want to blame slavery. You followed the dumb niggas that already showed you they was dumb niggas. But then we want to go back and blame slavery. Then we want to go back and blame mass incarceration. We got deadbeat dads in black culture. What would we go blame though? Oh, welfare took the man out the house and it separated us because women didn't want men in the house now because they knew they were going to get a check or more money for not having a man in the house. Has that been proven to a certain degree to be true? Yes. But again, something still has to go on for two people to split. And back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, before this information was privy to us, we had no idea what's going on. We had no idea these forces were at play. So something else had to be going on inside those homes. 60 years later, 50 years later, niggas are blaming welfare now. Instead of blaming the fathers, the black fathers that was deadbeats. Blame them. Don't blame something else, because the system and the rules and the regulations are what they are, whether you like it or not. But you don't have to succumb to that. Just because 85% of black fathers are deadbeats at a certain point in time don't mean you got to be a deadbeat. Just because 1 in every 4 or 3 black men are going to jail don't mean you got to be those 1 in 3. Just because niggas act a certain way at work don't mean you have to do it. But we follow the negative imagery and the negative examples. And then when shit hits the fan, what do? We go to blaming everything else but ourselves. We point the fingers at the system, point fingers at the neighbors and other races, and do all this shit instead of saying, what did I do wrong to end up in this situation? Black people, we need to take a mirror, a big ass mirror, and we need to look into it. Stare right back at yourselves. If we had more kids in STEM, if we had more kids in books and in arts and crafts and these different things early on, we'd have less gangbangers. That's what y'all don't understand. Like, the system can only do so much to us, so where at some point we just let them do it to us. If you can't beat them, join them. Fuck it, crack flood in the streets. Niggas didn't at that point in time think about anything. Nobody questioned why this was on the streets. Nobody questioned why they were seeing crackheads running down the street, butt ass naked, doing wild shit. No, we just said, you know what? That's a way to get rich. That's a way to get rich. Fuck it. We never thought about the consequences, the neighborhoods we was killing. Come on. Then you go 20, 30 years later, after the crack epidemic is done, and what do? We blame the crack epidemic. We blame the system. We blame Reagan. They put them drugs in the neighborhood, but they didn't put it in your hand and tell you to cook it. They didn't tell you to go out there and sell it. They didn't tell you to go out there and promote it. They actually got on national TV and said, say no to drugs. And you niggas went and still sold them because you wanted to get rich quick, because there is no long game with Black America. There is no foresight. There is no foreshadowing. Niggas just live for today and that's it. Oh, I could die at any moment, so I'm living life to the fullest. In my opinion, there's a difference between living life to the fullest and living like a fucking idiot. And a lot of us in our culture, we live like fucking idiots. Living your life to the fullest is not traveling when you don't got no bread. Living your life to the fullest is not buying all this other shit and you don't even got a pot to piss in. That is not living your life to the fullest. Black people confuse stability with being boring and chaos with fun. And that's just what it is. But when shit hits the fan, we'll find something to blame. We'll find someone to blame. And again, we can't be 100% to blame because we know the system is what it is. But at some point, if you've been watching game tape for 15 years and you still can't beat the team or get around it or go take another route, that's on you. You can't keep blaming motherfuckers that's dead and gone. And Black people are we're so good at lacking accountability that we're blaming our ancestors for the points we're in. We're blaming the only people who actually fought, actually shed blood, sweat, and tears. We're blaming those people for where we are today. You have people trying to say MLK and Malcolm X's efforts were in vain. You got people saying segregation was better than now. All because now it's not the situation that they wanted it to be. So you got to go back and you got to blame something. Oh, this was all a trap. Civil rights was a trap. Niggas just say anything, bro. Niggas get hopped up in the barbershop, start talking about shit, and don't really look at the real world. But it's all excuses, a lot of it. At some point, it's excuses. We'll find something to blame. Think about every example I've given. I've given family, we blame welfare. I give niggas out in the streets doing stupid shit, we blame the government. We blame Reagan. We blame mass incarceration. We can't get ahead in certain things, we blame slavery. I'm not saying it can't be to blame at all, but come on now. Y'all could do better than that. We can do way better than that. We want to blame everything instead of taking accountability. And that's the problem that I have. I'm not saying to be ignorant to the facts of what it is, but to keep using these things as a crutch is ridiculous. I'm over it. I know a lot of black men and women are over it as well. But we need everybody to be over it at some point. Like I said, we even to the point where we blaming MLK. We blaming the niggas who actually fought for us. That's bad. We've blamed everybody but ourselves, y'all. Everybody. And honestly, our time has ran out, black people. We already didn't have sympathy, but the little sympathy we had from others, it's over with. It's gone. And the reason why the little sympathy that we had is gone is because if I throw a nigga a life vest and he rip it up and then scream, hey, I'm drowning, I'm not going to throw you another one, bro. I'm not going to do it. We've been thrown life vests. Believe it or not. We just didn't take them all the time. Or some of us did, but not enough. Not enough of us have bought in to certain systems and certain ways of living and certain mindsets. Not enough of us have bought in to progression, into being a better culture. As much as we talk the talk, we don't walk the walk. Because if we really bought into a higher learning, a higher powers, and more knowledge, we wouldn't be gangbanging still. We wouldn't be slapping Sexy Red still. We wouldn't still be calling niggas squares. We wouldn't still be blaming slavery. All these things prove that we are still lacking accountability and we're not where we're supposed to be. That's how I look at it. We got to do better. Stop blaming slavery. As real as it was, we did not go through it. What we need to be doing is thanking our ancestors and whatever higher power you believe in for you not coming along in that time. Because you got to come along in a time when you had access to better education. You had more opportunities, more jobs. You could walk around with your little white bitch, your little snow bunny, and be fine. We got all that. You can go travel across the world. You can do all that. So the time is not now to talk about slavery. What we're supposed to do now is progress. Anything besides that is bullshit, and we got to throw it out. 2025, drawing a line in the sand. If you're a black person that's going to continue to make excuses, continue to use the past as a crutch, but at the same time not do what you're supposed to do to make yourself a better example for us as black people, I don't want to hear it. I'm done. I always tell people, you don't got to go save 1 million black people. You don't got to go open a business or do something grand, because a lot of us, let's keep it 100, we're not going to do that. We're not going to. The statistics show a lot of us cannot do that, and that's in every race. What you can do is get your credit right. Right? What you can do is make sure your kids grow up in a 2-parent household. What you can do is make sure your boys are masculine and your women are feminine. What you can do is limit the negative imagery that comes into your house. What you can do is make the foundation of your children's upbringing hard work, ethics, and morals. What you can do is set your kids up for the future. Black people, that's what we can do right now. So let's do that instead of complaining about something that happened 400 years ago. Y'all might not want to hear it, but at this point, it's bullshit, and everybody else is tired of hearing it too. We're all tired of hearing it. You can't blame slavery when you got niggas doing smash and grabs. You can't make people have sympathy for that. When they see this on TV, but then they see another thing. You just can't. Got to do better. White women got the NFL on lock, man. Let's talk about it. Let's fucking talk about it. We had already talked about this before. If you know, you know. Check it out on the Viral Way podcast. We talked about it a while ago. But we're going to get into it again because another tweet is going viral about white women having an NFL on lock. Let me pull it up now.